say, I need to put the mask on myself before I can help other people. Because most of us want to do that. We're in caring and giving ministries. And so that's what total holistic health is. There are several dimensions or areas where health can be found. We're going to only focus on 4 of them today, because if we focused on all of them, we would be here for a minute. So in future times, we can speak about some of those other areas of health. But there are 6. Of course, there's the physical, and that kind of speaks to our exercise, our diet, our stress management, our sleep. How are we managing those things? And then we also have spiritual health. Spiritual health is a big one, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. We also have mental health, emotional health, but then we have social health. We think about during the COVID time, during the pandemic, our social wellness was down. We could not spend time with people. We were locked in our homes. And so the isolation that came with that was really hard on all of us. It was a time that people were committing suicide. They were depressed. They had anxiety. It was a major issue. So we also find that sometimes one area of wellness, if it's not doing well, like social, can affect the other parts as well. So my mental health is affected when I'm not able to spend time and invest in other people. And then finally, there's environmental health and wellness. What is my environment like? Does it set me up for success? Are there some things that I need to do to change my environment to help me become more successful? So I'm a foodie. I love to eat. I like food. When I was trying, I got a testimony. So when I was going through making better diet changes, I had to look at the foods I had available to me. What was around me that would make it easier for me to make better choices, or what were some barriers that were challenging? And so my favorite cookie in the whole wide world, Oreo cookies. Oreos, I love them. We had a great relationship. They're my friends. Oh, yes. But I realized that I did not have the self-control to have Oreo cookies in my house and not eat the sleeve. I would eat the sleeve, y'all, the whole sleeve, the whole thing. With some milk. Oh, yes, you must have the milk. You have to have some good cold, and I don't even like milk, y'all, but I would use milk with my Oreos. You just can't. I tried almond milk with them. It wasn't doing it for me. I needed the cow's milk with my Oreos. So I had to change my environment. I had to not buy them. I literally could not have them in the house. I told my family, do not think you're being kind to me by having these Oreos in the house. This is not loving to me. You're not helping me. But by changing my environment, though, I was able to say, okay, I'm okay without Oreos. And after a time, now y'all, they can come back in. They can be in the house. And I don't even need them. Listen, I have been delivered from my obsession with Oreo cookies. So y'all, if I can make it, y'all can make it, okay? Amen. So those are our 6 dimensions of wellness. And so I want you guys to know that wellness is not something that just happens to us by osmosis. We're not just saying, you know what, I want to be well, and so it's just going to happen to me. No, ma'am, no, sir. It is something that is active. It is not passive, okay? There are things I have to do. There are mindsets I need to change if I'm going to be well. It's also an individual pursuit. So what might work for me may not work for you. It's individual. So for me, with my Oreo struggle, I needed to not buy them. They could not be in the house. But you might have more self-control than me. And you may say, you know what, if I just put them up on the back shelf and they're there and I don't see them, it's okay. Oreo cookies might not be your thing. They can be out on a plate in front of you and you're like, I don't care about Oreos. But we all have our areas. Then we need to know ourselves to say, what do I need to do to be well? I'm going to call out Sheila here. Sheila's training for a half marathon. And so I know. She's amazing. I know. So she's a runner. So she's running. So if I said, ooh, that's what I need to do to be well too, I'm going to go run a half, y'all, I wouldn't make it. That's not. That's not. But maybe I can walk a 5K, and that's wellness for me. So what you may see someone else doing may not be what works for you, but don't be discouraged, y'all. Take small steps. I'm giving you all the good stuff early, so if y'all tune out at the end, this is all the good stuff. Just take some small steps, okay? Yes, baby steps. And I'll say this. This is a saying I read somewhere. I wish I could cite the exact source, but I loved it when they said, if you are persistent, you will get there. But if you are consistent, you'll stay there. So it just takes a matter. I know. I said preach. That'll preach somewhere. That was some good stuff. So if you're just willing to keep working at it, we're going to have good days, bad days. We're not going to be perfect in this pursuit of wellness. It is a journey. So I just want to encourage you guys, wherever you are, whatever you can do that. The important thing is to just be active. Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with spiritual wellness. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. And so spiritual wellness, obviously we think about being in church. We think about our faith is a big component of spiritual wellness, but it's also a matter of thinking about who we are, our values, our goals, how we view ourselves, being connected to something that is beyond ourselves. That's spiritual wellness. It gives us our sense of meaning and purpose. And they find that when we tend to lose that sense of meaning and purpose, people, y'all, honestly don't see a point in living. They don't see a point in being around at all. At our church, we have a mentoring ministry, and it's based off Titus 2, where the older women train the younger women in the Lord. And there was an older woman. She was in a nursing home, and she really felt like she had no point anymore. She, her children were gone. She didn't have anybody around. And through this mentoring ministry, she was able to pour into a young woman. And she found her sense of purpose, because we need that. We need that. And so it's really important where this older woman in the nursing home felt like, I have no point. Why should I keep living? And people can lose that will to live, y'all. They don't see the point. But she found purpose in that, and not only was she able to pour into this young woman was able to encourage her to where then she was able to pour into those around her within the nursing home. And so that's so important that we have that sense of purpose. Normally we would do a purpose statement today, but I'm going to run out of time, and I want to give Ms. Sheila time to talk. But I just want to say to you guys, what is your sense of purpose? What is your sense of meaning? What helps you get up in the morning? What's your motivation? And how does your faith, we're all here at church this morning, so I'm trusting faith is important to you. How does your faith impact your life? I took a class, y'all. I went to Liberty University, so it is a Christian university. And I took a coaching class that really said, how does your faith impact your wellness? Okay? And we all can look through, there are principles, there are things that we find in our faith that speak to how we should eat, how we should live, how we should take time to rest. And so I would encourage you guys, especially being people of faith, to look into that. How does your faith have an overall impact on all the other areas of wellness in your life? Your environment, your diet, what we eat, y'all. I grew up with church dinners. I'm just going to leave it. Let's think about it. How does our faith impact that, y'all? How does it? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So that's homework for you guys. I want you all to develop a vision of who you are and who you want to be, and what are some small steps that you guys can take to get there. Now let's move on to physical wellness. And I think when we think about wellness, this is what we mostly think about. If I'm being active, which is very important, they find that those who are have more physical activity are healthier. I was reading a statistic yesterday that those who get 8,000 steps a day as opposed to 4,000 steps each day, it decreases your chances of dying early, so all-cause mortality. So just from moving, just from being more active every day is really important. We talked a lot about already our diets, how we eat. My master's degree is in public health, but my concentration was in nutrition. As y'all know, I said I'm a foodie, so I did it for myself first, so I could learn to eat better, and then I can share it with other people, because food is life, and food is healing. And so I'm going to keep one little thing for y'all to hold on to, and this is called nutrient density. And that just means when you look at the food that you eat, what good things are in it that's going to feed my body. Not just feed my taste buds, but feed my body. So I want you to look at that. Y'all look at those bagels and cream cheese and the fruit, and I want y'all to think about what are some good things in it. And honestly, it's not too bad of a breakfast, right? We're not doing too bad this morning. So think about nutrient density when you are planning and when you're eating your food, okay? But the main thing I really wanted to talk about, because we mostly think about diet and exercise with physical wellness, I wanted to talk about sleep today. Yes, yes, sleep is so important. And actually, they're realizing that it is connected to so many issues, chronic disease. It affects our mental wellness. It's just really, really important. So let me ask a question. How many hours of sleep should we get a night? Anybody know? 10. I like to say, what's your sleep number? Find your sleep number, right? What works best for you? So the National Sleep Foundation recommends that we get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. For an adult, it does have different requirements for different ages, but the average adult needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Per night. Because what happens when we sleep, that's when the body heals itself. That's when the mind forms memories. So when you have dreams, your mind is making sense of what you have experienced, or it's calling back something that you've been thinking about, trying to understand it. And so, for the sake of time, there are 4 levels to sleep. You have levels 1, 2, and 3, and then you have your REM sleep. So level 3 is your deep sleep. But that cycle, those 3 levels and your REM, is one cycle. It takes about 90 minutes for that to occur. And it's recommended that we have 4 to 6 cycles a night, thus the 7 to 9 hours. So if I'm sleeping for 5 hours, I might have gotten 3. And if I'm maintaining that over the long term, I'm going to see some cognitive deficits. I'm going to see a hard time remembering things, recalling things, or thinking clearly. It's going to affect my mood. How many of us are not the nicest people? Now, I know you guys are some awesome people. I'll just speak for myself. If I don't get enough sleep, it's hard for me to be kind. It's hard for me to be understanding. It's hard for me to live all those scriptures that tell us how to live, right? It's hard. Sleep does not help when we don't have it, okay? So my encouragement to you all today is to really focus on sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, try to get it. Try to get 7 to 9 hours. But we also want to think about having good quality sleep. Quality sleep is really important. Any TVs in your bedroom? Anyone? Anyone? I have the t-shirt. TVs in our bedrooms? No TV? You know what, sweetie? You don't need a TV in your bedroom just yet. And I didn't allow my kids to have TVs in their rooms, actually, even when they were older, just because I didn't want the distraction. But they find that when we're taking in that light at night, because our bodies are designed to think when it's dark, I need to sleep. The sleep time, when we're watching TV right before bed, it affects the quality of sleep that we have. So if you can shut off that TV, okay, just to give your eyes a break, to start to understand it's nighttime. Try to have a routine that helps your body relax. Maybe you take a shower at night or a bath. Maybe you dim your lights, okay? Just to give your body time. What about temperature? What's your temperature in your house at night when you sleep? Yeah. Yeah. They recommend at least 68 when you sleep because having it cooler helps the body know it's time to sleep. And there's nothing better than a cold room and a blanket, y'all. I just don't want to get up. That is life. That is everything. That is everything. So I want you guys, second piece of homework, who am I? Who do I want to be is one. Number two is how am I sleeping? How am I sleeping? If your quality of sleep is having a hard time, and it's not just I'm staying up too late or I'm not turning off my TV, maybe there's a sleep disorder, please go see a specialist. Get a sleep study done. Because when we don't get a lot enough sleep, it's like being intoxicated, y'all. It really is. Your decision making, your reaction time is pretty dangerous. So that was a very quick run through of physical and spiritual wellness, but I really wanted to get time for Sheila to get up and talk to us about mental and emotional wellness. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sheila. I'm an EAP counselor at Premier Health Employee Care. So before I get started, I'm going to piggyback off on a couple of things that you said. Um, oh, okay. So she talked about food. So I am a junkie, even though I run, but I am a junkie for fried chicken. But I've learned that there's this new batter. One of my friends told me that you can put um, batter your chicken in and put it in the air fryer, and it tastes just like fried chicken. So now I'm away from the grease aspect, the saturated fat aspect of it. Um, Chocolate chip ahoy cookies. I can't just eat one. I have to actually indulge in a sleeve. So, and then one thing I am disciplined. Oh, chips. Chips. I think chips are more. How many? Let me see a show of hands. And everybody, be honest. Anybody that's an emotional eater? Like when you kind of get sad, down, and depressed, and it's like, okay, I know I shouldn't be eating this, but I'm eating it. And is it comforting to you? Okay, good. We're all on the same page then. You said what? What did you say? Okay, okay. But in but in the midst of that, I am literally learning more about labels. So I'm learning that there are certain foods that can bring about depression, anxiety, and trigger a lot of things like a lot of soda drinking, sugar plays a major role in that. So sometimes we can have the most elated day and have you found yourself eating or drinking maybe a soda or even overindulging in food that you eat and it just kind of brings you down and you're trying to figure out how did I get in that state? And it really wasn't anything wrong, but it was really just the food that you were eating. So we're going to talk a little bit on that. And then I'm going to piggyback off real quick. You talked about the sleep. The sleep is so good. There's an app called Better Sleep. So if you guys how many know about that app? Very, very good app. Very good app. So if you get a chance, download that. I think the first 7 days is a free trial or something like that. But don't forget to unsubscribe, because if you forget to unsubscribe, that don't hold me accountable for that. And then the last thing I want to talk about before I get started is Janella spoke briefly about light. So I'm going to tell you a story. Sometimes a little blue light is the worst light you can have in your room. I don't know. Some people, what was it? Blue light. Whether that's on an electronic device, a television, or something. So I let my daughters talk me into putting these little lights around my TV. So what are those LED lights? Oh, was that the biggest mistake? And just yesterday, I figured out how to unplug them. So I realized at nighttime I have my television on a timer, but when the timer go off, the TV go off, for some reason them blue lights come on, and they just be blinking like the disco lights. And I'm like, how can I get these out? Took the battery out of the remote, didn't work. So I say this to so important that small things do interfere with our sleep. And if we don't get adequate sleeping, it does affect our mood the next day. Oh, I'm sorry. If not, um, the next day we feel the effects of that. So before we get started, I wanted to tell you guys to please bear with me because I had to bring my glasses, but normally these are my reading glasses and not my real glasses. So if I stumble over some words or something, please let me know. But we're going to focus on mental health and emotional wellness. Can someone tell me in their own words, what does mental health and emotional wellness means to them? I see a hand right here. Okay. Anybody else? I don't think this is it. Hold on, let me see something. Okay. So when we talk about mental and emotional wellness, what is mental illness? The common mental illness experienced by African American. And I know all of us know someone, if not within ourselves, that suffer from depression, anxiety, and or possible substance use. Can someone tell me in their own words, what does depression mean to them? Feel bad? Okay. What was yours, Becky? Mm-hmm. Okay. Anxiety. Anybody have a definition for anxiety? Mm-hmm. Show of hands, how many of us live in that area in our lives at times? We worry about whether it's the biggest things or the smallest things. Now, when it comes to substance abuse use, what is that definition? Abuse use, yes. Okay. And that could be anything, correct? I didn't hear you. Okay. Okay. How many of you know someone that suffers from anxiety? How many know of someone that suffers or has in the past or current present substance abuse use? How many of find ourselves when we're dealing with any of those, it sometimes can change us if we're trying to help the other person. It can be overwhelming, very stressful, and we don't have the idea on how to help them because it becomes draining on us. So when that happens, so when that does happen, you experience that, how does that affect you? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, that comes along with that. Correct. So I'm going to give you a definition of mental illness. Mental illness, first of all, is nothing to be ashamed of. How many agree with that? Just let me see a show of hands that agree with that. Okay. It is a medical problem, just like heart disease and diabetes. Mental illness are health conditions involving changes in our emotions, thinking, and behaviors, and a combination of all. Mental illnesses are associated with distress and or problems functioning in the social, work, and family activities, which we just talked about there. And they are often accompanied by substance use. It's critical that we talk about these challenges that we do see and get help right away. When we talk about reframing our language, I want you guys to really pay attention to it. And I did make copies of this, but I can try to email them to someone so that everybody can get this. Why framing our mind is so framing. I can't remember. I got this clicker right here. Okay. That is too small for me to read. So, reframing language, why changing our thinking, our action, and our language matters. So I'm going to give you some examples of that, and I don't mean to be biased, but this is kind of common in certain communities and cultures. They use language as the associated with mental illness. So I'm going to give you one, an updated language for prejudice and discrimination. An outdated language is stigma, and then why it matters. Prejudice refers to thinking, discrimination refers to action. Both can be changed. How many agree that both of those can be changed? Okay. Acceptance. When we have family members or loved ones that's close to us that suffers from mental illness, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, OCD, etc., is oftentimes that's hard to accept. I think you talked about that as well, discussed that. How many of you know I've been in a situation where it's really hard for you to reframe your thinking and accept the fact that this is the real reality of that person? So the outdated language for that is awareness. And why does that matter? Being aware doesn't always call for action, change in behavior, or thinking. Another one is experiencing or living with mental illness. An outdated language for that is suffering from mental illness. People who experience mental health conditions can and do live healthier lives. Can everybody show me a hand, show me a hand that you can live a healthy life even if you suffer from any form of mental illness? They can live healthy, fulfilling lives at that. And suffering implies one is unwell and unhappy and can't recover. That is not true. One can recover, one can become happy, and one can live normal, productive lives. Oftentimes that take maybe assistance with medication regimen and other things that come along with that, with therapy and intervention, but one can live a healthy life. Experiences has been treated for emotional, mental, and or behavioral health challenges is an updated language. An outdated language is emotionally disturbed. How many of you guys have been around someone and you've seen someone and they say, oh, this person is this, and they say, oh, they just emotionally disturbed. And then you just forget about them. But that's a stigma on that person because there's other language we can use rather than to say this person is emotionally disturbed. Being diagnosed and experiencing symptoms and or having been treated for mental health is a common part of a human experience. The term disturb perpetual prejudice and create barriers for treatment. Oftentimes when we see people and we just call them words like, and this is not a direct comment to anybody, but I've seen people witness and say, oh, that person's just crazy, they're cuckoo, they don't know what they're doing, they're just on drugs, they don't care about their life, they're this, they're that. That can also hinder a person from wanting to go get help because we've stereotyped them and gave them a label, so who's there to support them? So then they go to the doctor and they hear the doctor just kind of like dismiss them, so they feel like I don't have my family, I don't have my friends, now the doctor, the medical treatment, I'm just a number at the doctor's office. Then a person who experiences substance abuse challenges are oftentimes looked upon as a drug abuser, an alcoholic, an addict, or a substance use. That is definitely outdated language, and we need to change our language, how we address people who are dealing with that, because substance abuse is no different than any other heart disease, cardiac diabetes. It is, in fact, a disease that one individual is suffering with, recovering from. Avoid words. I like for you guys, when we do that and we run into that, we have to avoid words that suggest lack of quality of life for people with substance use conditions. Terms like addict reduces a person's identity. There's people who use that word very heavily. Oh, they're just an addict. It often denies their dignity, their humanity, and implies to them as powerless and an inability to recover. And that is definitely a true statement right there. Improving mental health and outcome in African Americans, getting more out of mental health wellness. When it comes to mental health, the term used to describe mental illness matters. We have all heard derogatory terms as it used to describe someone's mental health. How many of you guys have seen someone describe someone and you know, whether it's a family member or not, and you know they have mental illness, and maybe one family member may get mad at the other family member, and then it becomes a power struggle where the language changes. How many of you have heard family members, friends, or just peers at that point use the derogatory language as it relates to a person suffering from mental health? Okay. Show of hands. Okay. Thank you. So in mental health wellness in a toolkit, we have the community, family, and individual. What what that looks like when we dealing with situations like that, it's oftentimes in the community, it's looked at a little bit different as opposed to right in our own back door. So when it comes to community, we have to just kind of learn to look at that as if it takes a village. That statement, it takes a village to raise kids. It also takes a village to raise adults. It takes a village to raise an individual that's suffering from mental health. It takes a village to assist one that's dealing with substance abuse use. It also takes a village for those family members who are really struggling with that individual and don't know where to get that adequate help or services from. Mental health wellness resources. I have some numbers here that can possibly, for resources as it relates to our community mental health services and availabilities, like crisis care. Crisis care is a 24-hour service that provides ongoing services. Their number is 24 hours too. Anybody who want to take that number down, that number is 937-224-4646. We also have Samaritan Behavioral Health. That number is 937-461-1376. And always remember 988 is available 24 hours a day. That's the suicide hotline. And feel free to pass these numbers along to any individual you know that may be suffering with any of these inabilities. So before I depart, I just want to leave you with one statement, and I actually have these on printed out for you guys if you want to take one with you. A couple of affirmations to be thankful for every day. One of them is, the root of all goodness lies in the soul and appreciation of goodness. When we give cheerfully and accept gratefully, everyone is blessed. And always, always remember to wear gratitude like a coat, and it will feed every corner of your life. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Thank y'all so much for listening to that today. I did just want to give your final homework assignment. Your final homework assignment, guys, is to come up with your individual wellness plan. Think about the next 3 months. What is that going to look like? If time doesn't allow, but I took a college class about how change happens. And so I want to leave you with these quick tips to remember. First, you want to direct the writer, okay? The writer is the brain. That's our cognitive function. So today you all received information about the importance of wellness, the importance of sleep. So continue to educate yourself on how to be healthy as much as possible. The other thing you want to do is motivate the elephant. The elephants are emotions. Emotions lead us through our lives, really. Most of us are guided by our emotions. What do we ask with food? What do you feel like eating? What do you feel like? Yeah, I feel like eating fried chicken way too much, okay? But if we are motivated by something deeper, we're more prone to make change. So find a motivation for your change that can take you through when you don't feel like it, okay? Get those emotions on board. And finally, as I said earlier, shape the path. Give yourself the best chance for success by getting rid of those things, right? Getting rid of those Oreo cookies if we need to. But let's add some fruit on the table instead. Let's add some vegetables. Let's put some hummus with it, okay? That's how we can direct our path. And so finally, I'm going to have Miss Stephanie come up. She's going to share a couple words, and this will conclude our time, y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janella. First off, I want to thank Lynn. Lynn, come up here real quick. You're way in the back. But Lynn is, we're all from Premier Health, but I sit as the chair of our Employee Health Resource Group. And Lynn is part of my committee. She's a committee member, but she's most importantly the director of Premier's Community Health Department. So this is her baby. This is what she does as a job, which is amazing, to go out and service our community and bring awareness and education to those that are invested within our system. So thank you, Lynn, for partnering with me for this wonderful initiative. It's just the start of many efforts that we're going to do here in our community around social determinants of health. As we all know, the African American community is plagued with various social determinants of health, from housing, food insecurity, health care, and most importantly, self-worth. To me, that's at the top. I don't think we talk about that enough. Self-worth encompasses everything. Knowing who you are and knowing that you are a royal creation can make you begin to make such changes, whether it begins with your education, whether it begins with your diet. It's all an investment within yourself. So I find nothing wrong with walking around like royalty. Nothing wrong with it. As long as you have a pure heart, your intentions are godly, and you're in alignment with His will for your life, have pride within yourself. Invest in yourself. I know for me, I'm a foodie. I am not the most healthcare conscious person at all. I got arthritis. I can't breathe half the time. I am not a healthy person, but I put on that MAC makeup and I make it look good. But that's fake in a sense, you know what I mean? Because I'm not investing within myself. So that's one of the commitments that I want to partner with you all and commit to self-investment in the areas that you know that you're lacking in. So maybe you're healthy and you lack emotional and confidence. I think we all lack something. So I know mine is internal health and diet. But I'm invested. I've been coming to this church for about 2 years now. God, when I say this church is so powerful, I was in the search for a church, and this was my first stop, and I ain't been nowhere else. Because I said I was going to visit a whole bunch of churches. But I say that to say there's so much power in this church, not only from us as adults, but this is a ministry of young people. And if we start feeding this knowledge into them at this age, we have the ability to make an impact on our community beyond measure. So I know I have little granddaughters that probably would not pay any attention to today's initiative, but I'm hoping that something has really, really impacted this role right here, most importantly. This is where I was praying when people were talking. Let something impact them. Let something marinate with them that was said today so that it can begin to uproot, so that they can begin to make a change and be the change that we need in our community. So again, kings and queens, keep your crowns on, invest in yourself. And I love you, and I love this church.
Amen. Somebody saying, I love you back. Come on, let's give God a praise. Give God a praise for those beautiful, informative presentations. I just had a few things I had to take care of, but I was in the cyber sanctuary, taking it all in my office. So let's do again. Let's give God a praise for each presenter. Thank you. This is just the beginning. Yes, ma'am. I don't receive everything. I don't receive everything. If it ain't in the Bible, it's debatable. So that's how I'm gonna approach that one. But no, I didn't hear that, because I would have stopped the presentation for sake of blasphemy. But in all seriousness, this is just the beginning. Y'all didn't clap or nothing like you. This is just the beginning. We are very serious about ministering to the whole man. Amen. Ministering to the whole man. Today, I'll discuss today in my sermon. The Lord has intention to not only address your soul, but He has His heart concerned about your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being. Listen to this, your social well-being. God is a God that has made it his business to not leave any area of our lives unaccounted for. And so we believe it is a part of our responsibility to make sure that we introduce you